almost hit the line of scrimmage.
So that'll be 10 yards against the Dragons.
First down and 20.
Well, is it still first down for the Dragons? The dial-a-down over there is on first down. O'Rourke going to roll. Now he throws. Corner of the end zone. Brett Wiemers with the catch and the touchdown. Nice, elusive play by Rourke to buy himself some time to find Wiemers in the corner of the end zone.
You know, you talk about pocket presence that a quarterback has. That was what is exactly shown there by Rourke. He felt the pressure coming from his backside, rolled out to his right, found a little seam between his tackle and his tight end who was in the block, stepped up into that seam but kept his eyes downfield and hit his man for an easy touchdown.
Caden Bressler on to attempt the point after for the Dragons. The kick is up, and it is good. 2:33 left to play first quarter. The Pittsburg High Dragons lead the Fort Scott Tigers 7-0. We'll take a break for 30 seconds, and we'll be back. You're listening to Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com.
Publication for high school teams in the area. Don't forget to purchase your copies for only $2 next to the North Pacific booth until halftime.
Welcome back to Hutchinson Field, Pittsburg, Kansas. 2:33 to play first quarter. Dragons lead it 7-0 over the Fort Scott Tigers. Pittsburg High trying to go to 4-0 on the year and hand the Tigers their second loss of the season. They scored on a 25-yard pass from Ty Rourke to Brett Wiemers. Put the Dragons on the board. Now, defense going to try and get another stop. They've looked good so far here in the first quarter. Fort Scott's defense looked good as well, but just too many attempts for that Pittsburg offense. You're asking a lot of that defense if you're Coach Campbell to keep coming out and getting stops like that.
You really are. You're hoping that your offense in this possession will be able to run a semi-long drive and give your defense a break.
At that time, the return not near as productive. Taken down at the 25-yard line. That was Michaud. And the Tigers will start this drive at their own 25-yard line. So if you're the Tigers, you've had some success running it, not enough. Dragons have tightened down against that run, and then that pass defense has been smothering.
It really has. I mean, I think if you're Fort Scott, you don't want to do those outside runs. Pittsburgh's speed is too much for that. You want to go right up the gut.
And they do right here to Michaud. He takes a shot from Dylan Jordan. I'll feel that one tomorrow as Michaud. A little hitch in his giddy up, so he'll head over to the sideline. He'll bring up a second down and 3. Good pickup on the play, though, by Michaud.
You saw there the Dragons are going with 3 down linemen, a 3-4 style defense. So if you can keep 2 linemen in the center, essentially, along with your center, your 2 guards, to create a small gap, they can go a long way with those interior runs.
There's a snap, gives to the first man through, Wilson. He stood up and dropped after a gain of about 2. And now let's set up a 3rd down and short situation for the Tigers. 3rd down and less than a yard. Yeah, put it right at about a yard. Now the officials set the ball. Yeah, there we go. Thought it was less than a yard from where the stick was. The ball sitting a good half yard further back. Campbell gets the call from the sideline back into the huddle for Fort Scott. Under a minute to play, first quarter. Dragons lead it 7-0. Fort Scott trying to answer back here on this possession. A big third down and short. I formation double tight behind Campbell, Wilson and Michaud. And they'll do the quarterback keeper straight ahead, and looks like they'll have enough for the first down, and they do. Campbell keeps it himself.
You know, that's something I don't understand why more coaches don't take advantage of when you're on those third or fourth and short.
Especially when your quarterback's over 6'5".
Just give it to him.
Yeah.
Have him push. Worst case scenario, all he has to do is just reach over in the middle of the pile of legs.
Mm-hmm. Kid that tall, he falls over, he's halfway down the field.
Exactly.
High formation now again in the backfield behind Campbell. There's the snap, handoff to Michaud, straight up the gut. Being dragged, Dragons. Austin had him, they got him up in the air. And Michaud is down. Or no, that's not Michaud, that's
Cooper Bradbury. I think he had the wind knocked out of him there when he got thrown down. I mean, it was almost a suplex the way that Austin wrestled Bradbury down.
Fort Scott's staff out there checking on Bradbury, but also letting the referees hear about what they thought about that tackle. Both teams head to their huddles.
I can't say that Fort Scott doesn't really have a complaint to give there, because, I mean, it looked like Bradbury's progress was completely stopped. You had been hit by about 3 or 4 Dragons.
Well, then blow the whistle.
I agree. I agree, and that's
the kid's up off the ground. You're on the near side official, and you can see that.
Just blow the whistle.
Blow the whistle. I mean, he's obviously not going to make any more forward progress at that point. But if you're a defender and you've got him stopped and you got him up in the air, nobody's going to blow the whistle.
Yeah.
What do I got to do to convince you that we've stopped him here?
Exactly. I mean, it's playing to the whistle, like we said earlier. But as an official, you got to know.
Yeah.
You got to know.
The kid's in the air. There's only one thing that happens after that.
And normally it's not good for anyone.
That's why you stop the play. Nonetheless, second down and 4.
Scott just let the time run out to end the quarter.
And that'll be the last play of the first quarter, so it ends kind of on a weird injury play. Dragons lead at 7-0. We'll be back for second quarter action right after this 1-minute break. You're listening to Pittsburg High School Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com. I mean, that had it.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to Hutchinson Field. Fort Scott with the ball here. Second down and 4 at their own 43-yard line. The handoff is to Michaud. Finds a little lane. He has out close to first down yardage. And we'll see where they're going to spot it. Looks like he's got it. So quick play right out of the break by the Tigers. They pick up the first down on a almost exactly 4-yard. They needed 4. They got 4 from Michaud.
Just a little slow right now as They've been signaling for, I don't know, a good 20, 30 seconds. Now they finally move.
15 on the play clock as the Tigers get set. Still a good amount of time for Campbell. I formation, double tight behind him. Looks like they're intent to try and run the ball here. As they give to Michaud, coming around near side, has a gap. Brought down by a host of Dragons, but not until he reaches the Fort Scott 35-yard line.
Dylan White,
or the Pittsburg High 35-yard line.
Dylan White there kept that from being a much longer run. He was able to somewhat wrangle the show and hold him up for a couple other of his cohorts to wrangle him down.
22-yard carry that time by Michaud. Started slow, but he's warmed up here. This Fort Scott offensive line starting to make some holes in this Dragon front seven.
And, you know, that's just like you've always said when it comes to running those 3, 4, 3-yard runs at the beginning of the game, eventually turn into bigger ones later on.
Short carry that time out across the 35 goes Wilson. Gain of about 2 on the play. Fort Scott's been very patient with that running game, and I think they're going to need to be because they've been real close to turning it over every time they've dropped back to throw. High formation now behind Campbell in the backfield. You get that run going, though, the play action will open up. Dylan Jordan showing pressure. Here he comes off the edge. Michaud right up the middle. Picks up a couple. Dragon defense there to close the hole. As Jarek Butcher at the bottom of the pile for the Dragons.
Number 47, Jarek Butcher on tackle.
You know, another reason I think this Fort Scott squad is wanting to keep running the ball like that is it keeps the ball out of the hands of the Pittsburgh offense. And true, while the Fort Scott defense has done well up to this point, you really don't want to test them more than you need to.
3rd down and 5 now for the Tigers. It's a big 3rd down. You got to think at this point they have a field here. They're in 4-down territory. High formation behind Campbell. Now looks like we're going to have a timeout. Fort Scott, they've used 2 timeouts here in the first half. They want to talk it over. Gives the Dragon defense a chance to do the same. And Shelby, you know, I was kind of expecting, based on the first couple of weeks against local opponents, for the Dragons to kind of come out hot, especially considering points that Fort Scott's given up this year. But the Tigers came to play here tonight. Dragons maybe with a little bit of distraction from all the homecoming festivities. This is a pretty competitive game at this point.
Absolutely, and I think another thing that factors into this is the rather disappointing loss for Fort Scott last week to Parsons. I mean, Fort Scott is a team that views itself as an upper echelon in the SEK, and to go to Parsons and to suffer something like that, it's probably a bit of a reality check for them, and they're trying to prove to themselves that they're better than that.
Now, Parsons has some athletes. They're a very talented group of players over there, and Dragons might be fortunate they don't have to play Parsons this year. Might be a gotcha game. Trying to avoid one of those tonight here against Fort Scott. A big 3rd down and 5 from the Dragon 30-yard line. Now split backs in the backfield behind Campbell. They're lined up I formation before the timeout, so a different play call here. Campbell back to pass, lets this one go. It's caught at the 20-yard line. And that was Tyler Gorman with the catch. It's enough for a 1st down for the Tigers. They're in business, and Campbell bought himself just enough time.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to credit the fact that he is such a big guy, because there were at least 3 Dragons in his face, but because of his height, he was able to look over and keep his eyes downfield to find the open man in Gorman for the 1st down.
Gain of 15 on the play. Sets the Tigers up 1st and goal. Pittsburgh High 10-yard line. There's the handoff to Michaud, hitting the backfield and dropped. Dragons that time not playing anything but run. Yeah, it was a good tackle out there by Aaron Woods, the number 2 tackler on the Dragon squad this year. Woods with 16 tackles, 5 of them solo, 3 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. So he's the sack leader for the Dragons as well. Split backs the backfield behind Campbell. Read option give to Wilson up the middle. He's going to go short yardage, but there's a penalty flag. Comes in late. Oh. And it's going to be a face mask against the Dragons by the look of it.
That's a killer because at this, where you are at this side of the field, that becomes a halfway distance to the goal. That's free yardage the Tigers have got.
It's not the personal foul variety, it's just the incidental face mask. But Dragon defense backs against the wall right here. Fort Scott showing the ability to run the ball. Nobody's done that yet this year on this squad.
If you're Pittsburgh, with the wind blowing out of the north, you want to try and keep Fort Scott on that far hash mark, though, make it hard for their kicker.
Trying to get around the corner with Michaud. No good, but he picks up about 4 yards on the carry. Now the Dragons got no ground to give right here. 3rd down, and I'm saying it's short, like they can pick up a 1st down here. 3rd down and goal, I'm sorry. The 1 yard line. Jumbo set here for Fort Scott. Jumbo ball's on the turf. I think the Tigers are on top of it. But man, that's a critical loss of yards there. Backs them up to the 6 yard line.
I think a faulty exchange between Campbell and Marchand. I mean, and that's twice now that they've had that. And you would think that with how often they've played together this season, you'd be past that here in week 4.
Brings up a 4th down, so now Dragons get a little bit of luck there. They have a chance to keep Fort Scott out of the end zone. It's do or die right here on this play. 5 yards to pay dirt for the Tigers, who have struggled to move the ball tonight except for this drive right here. They've run the ball very effectively, and the Dragons fortunate that the Tigers fumbled a snap or a quarterback-running back exchange. And Fort Scott will burn their final timeout of the first half. Talk it over. This is a big play. Granted, this might be an appropriate time to take a timeout, but you got to wonder about those two much earlier in the ballgame.
Absolutely, but I mean, we've seen them all night. They're playing with fire when it comes to that game clock because they're not breaking the huddle until 15, 14, 13 sometimes left on the game clock. And they're trying to milk the clock as much as possible, but when you run that risk of doing that, sometimes you don't get fully set, or if you decide you want an audible, you can't so you're forced to call a timeout.
Yeah, neither one of these teams are afraid to shorten the game. Dragons had a little something going with Brett Freeman on that last drive. They'd struggled to run the ball as well. So both teams is like a couple of heavyweights just feeling each other out.
Soften them up with body blows, and later on in the contest, you can try that haymaker every now and then.
Yeah, we'll see if the Tigers can land a haymaker here, or if the Dragons can come up with the stop. Big 4th down play. Split backs behind Campbell in the backfield. Campbell will throw, and it's tipped away, incomplete, no flag. Great defense that time on the far side by Dylan White, and the Dragons turn over the Tigers on downs. They'll take over deep in their own territory at the 5 yard line, and once again, the defense comes up big on the goal line. That's how they finished last week. They get it again here tonight.
You know, and I don't think that play had a chance from the beginning because right from the snap, Campbell was staring down his target in that far corner trying for the fade. Just a real easy job for PHS's defense there to time to jump and knock the ball away.
High formation behind Rourke. Toss sweep to Freeman. Hit immediately and dropped at like the 1 yard line. So Dragons going to lose like 4 yards on that play. Trying to get around the end, and Fort Scott, good job sniffing it out. Linebackers shot through those gaps. Close that one down quickly, and Freeman will lose 2 yards on the carry.
And you wonder why you run a toss this close to your end zone, because that's a dangerous play. Not only can you lose yardage like this, but a missed toss can roll into the end zone for an easy touchdown.
Now Fort Scott crowding the line of scrimmage. Sniffing the run play here. Goes to Brandis Evans. He ended up fumbling, but the whistle blew.
What happened was Roark, as he was turning out from getting the snap under center, he
fell down, and they're going to rule him down, so that's a loss of 1. And now the Dragon, the ball is at the goal line. Like, you don't get any closer to giving up a safety than this right here. Freeman checks out of the game. Brent Weimer's another wide receiver into the game for the Dragons. 3rd down, you got to pick up some yards here just so you have an opportunity to punt the ball.
And if you're going to pass this, you got to make it a quick pass. If there's nothing there, throw it away.
And he does. Over the top, it's juggled, picked off, penalty flag down. The ball's out on the turf, body's diving for it. And well, it looks like it's in the neighborhood of some pass interference or holding. And we'll see. It's against Fort Scott. That's going to be an automatic first down for the Dragons. Exactly what they needed. Sometimes just throw it up and try and get that flag. And that's what the Dragons did right there.
You know, the old adage was throwing the ball was a terrible idea because there wasn't a whole lot good. But nowadays, you throw it up, 2 things are possibly going to happen that are positives for the offense. You'll get the reception or get a pass interference call, which is what happened right there. Although, honestly, that one was a no-brainer.
Blue Valley lived and died by that one last week. Threw an interception to end the game. It could have kicked a field goal to tie. Went for the win with the pass, and it ended up getting picked off in the end zone. Dragons came away with the victory. And, man, if you didn't see that one, download it off ESPN1007.com. That's a game. Just turn the volume down. The guy calling it, not so good, but
interesting.
It was a good game.
With the 15-yard penalty, it didn't give the Dragons an automatic first down. So 3rd and 1.
3rd down and 1 for the Dragons. This is another big play here. And Rourke will keep it himself. He has enough for the first down out close to the 20-yard line. He has it by a couple of yards. It'll be first down and 10 for the Dragons at the 20. Rourke's first carry of the night. Good for a first down. Dragon offense trying to get out of the shadow of their own end zone.
It's not always quality, or should be quantity. A lot of times it's quality.
Little trickeration there. Sleight of hand. Now Rourke in the shotgun. Zone read to Brandis Evans. Gives it up to him. He's across the 20 to about the 22 before being ridden down by about 4 Tigers on that play. There's not a lot of holes up the middle tonight for Brandis Evans, but you keep handing it to him, keep him honest, because eventually you catch him working towards the sideline, and that hole will open right up for Evans.
Absolutely. He also set up the play-action pass, and then you also set up the quick pass give and go, essentially, where you can do the pump fake on the quick pass and then hit him deep.
You get the feeling that these 2 teams are just, oh yeah, you're going to try and run on me, and I'm going to turn around and run right on you, you know, I mean. Now, of course, they line up shotgun, trips to the far side as soon as I say that. Well, they gets the snap, fake handoff, pass is knocked down, incomplete. And Rourke took a shot that time.
In his face was Trenton Wilson. Wilson got back there in a hurry. Rourke, lucky he got the pass off after that play fake.
First, second incompletion tonight for Rourke. It's 3 for 5 so far throwing the football. 85 yards. He's going to need a play right here as he rolls out far side, gets away from pressure, looks downfield, lets it fly, has a man. It's Joel Kafka, steps out of bounds at the Pittsburg 49-yard line, good enough for a first down near midfield.
And that was a great decision by Rourke there. He had a gap to where he could have ran for the first down, but keeping his eyes focused beyond the line of scrimmage, found his receiver and was able to throw a perfect ball to gain a huge chunk of yardage.
Now 1st down and 10 for the Dragons near midfield. I formation in the backfield behind Rourke. Looks option, he keeps it himself, and he's going to get about a yard on the play. Didn't give it up to Brett Freeman, saw the defense going that way. And Rourke will pick up about a yard and a half. We'll call it a yard. Bring up 2nd down and 9 for the Dragons. Ball, nose of the football, right at the midfield stripe. 3:10 to play 1st half. Dragons looking to add to a 7-0 lead. Defense just held on 4th down, to breaking up a pass in the end zone. Start this drive. Dragons helped out by a pass interference penalty to give them a 1st down out at about the 20-yard line. Now a false start against the Dragons as Trevor Stover got a little bit of a head start on that one.
And you got to think that with the Dragons getting the ball to start the 2nd half, Coach Nicholson might play pretty conservatively as he gets closer to the end zone.
Well, we'll see. 2:50 and counting. The Dragons back up 5 yards. Try this one again. This ball sits at their own 45-yard line. Now 2nd down and 15 for the Dragons. They go trips to the far side. Brett Freeman alone back in the backfield with Rourke. Tigers back out of it. Rourke lets it fly over the middle of the field. It's going to be picked off by Nick Lawrence coming back the other way. He's hit and dropped by Joel Kafka, driven into the turf. A little frustration there as Rourke throws the pick. Another turnover.
Right there, I think
the Dragons.
I think he was just trying to throw it away, but because his offensive line kind of got pushed in his face, he couldn't get all his legs into throw to put it way beyond anyone, and it was just an easy pick there.
Yeah, Fort Scott able to get pressure. They didn't blitz that time. That was their front 4. They got pressure on Rourke and forced the bad pass. And now Fort Scott with it, 1st and 10 at their own 35. They got 2:25 to work.
No timeouts, though.
65 yards to go, no timeouts. Campbell rolls away. Now he's just going to get rid of it. Being pressured that time by Woods. Woods bringing the pressure from his defensive end spot, able to force Campbell force him to throw it away. Brings up a 2nd down and 10 for the Tigers. Stops the clock. 2:20. Left to play 1st half. Dragons leading at 7-0. Long huddle this time for Fort Scott as they come out in the split back. Pro formation, I guess, behind Campbell. Handoff's going to go to Michaud. Cuts it back inside, brought down after a gain of about 4 yards on the carry. It looks like he ran through a couple of arm tackles. And picks up 4. Weimers finally brings him down. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 7 at the Fort Scott 38-yard line.
You know, we don't have height and weight on the Tiger depth chart, but Marchot, kind of a smaller, slipperier back, able to shake through some arm tackles like you mentioned.
10 seconds on the play clock as they step up to the line. Split backs again behind Campbell in the backfield. Here's the snap, looking to pass. Now looks near side. Here's the throw. Tipped away, picked off! Dylan White has it back the other way. 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. 2 pick sixes 2 weeks in a row for Dylan White. The senior wide receiver and defensive back for the Dragons, Mr. Everything pretty much for this squad. There's a penalty flag on the play, sitting at about the 35-yard line. We'll wait and get this one sorted out. Could be on the return, perhaps a block in the back, but nonetheless, we'll see. Dylan White, a great play, tipped the ball to himself. Those of you watching on the internet, rewind that one.
That was a phenomenal interception there by White.
And thank Jenny for the coverage, and maybe if kids quit kicking her tripod, it'll be even better. Let's see who the flag's going to be against.
They did signal.
Oh, they're walking it off. Is this?
Do you know what that hand signal means?
What is that? I have no idea.
For those of you who are listening, the referee essentially made two fists and pounded them together.
Pittsburg High's ball, though, I guess, after whatever that was, sets him back to midfield. Takes a touchdown off the board. Rourke back to pass. Screen set up to Campbell. Gets a block on the outside from Dylan White. And he's across the 45 down to about the 43-yard line. Clock running, minute 12 to play. First half after the interception by Dylan White. Blindside block is a call. I hear word on the street. There's a pass. Caught up on the outside. That's Austin who makes the catch. Austin seeing some time at the tight end spot, sometimes out wide. And that time picks up enough for the first down for the Dragons up to the Fort Scott 28-yard line.
I'm assuming the blindside block is the penalty to outlaw the old crackback block that you used to see in the NFL.
When it's Oski time, aren't all blocks kind of blindside blocks? I mean,
you would think so.
Yeah, but I don't know. That seems, you take away that pick six, okay. Trips near side. Shotgun formation for Rourke as he gives a signal. There's going to be a false start against the Dragons. Back it up 5 yards, and we'll try it again. 49 seconds to play, first half. Pittsburg High trying to add to a narrow 7-0 lead over the Fort Scott Tigers. Having some trouble with some penalties here tonight, though.
And you got to feel, if you're Coach Nick, that you're beating yourself. You've caused a couple turnovers. You've committed a few turnovers, but the penalties are just killing any momentum that you may have.
Tigers drop back into coverage. Wide open. Brett Weimer's on the near side. He has 2 touchdown catches on the night. A 43-yard touchdown strike from Rourke to Brett Weimer.
What a great job by Weimers there to see how Rourke was just kind of stuck in the pocket, and instead of moving anywhere else, Weimers had himself a nice big cushion in the zone, settled down, showed his numbers, and then made the sure-handed catch. And once he had it, then he turned on the Jets to dive for his second touchdown.
Big pass play to finish that drive for the Dragons. Kick is up and good. Pittsburg High leads it 14-0. 40 seconds to play here. First half. We'll step away for 30 seconds. We'll be back. You're listening to Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com. Dragons lead it 14-0. 40 seconds left to play here first half. On homecoming night, Hutchison Field. The temperature, the heat finally let go of us. It actually kind of feels like fall tonight. Beautiful night for high school football here under the lights in Pittsburg, Kansas. Two old SEK League rivals. Just 30 miles separate these two schools. They've been slugging it out for about 100 years. Pittsburg High and Fort Scott. At times, Dragons historically have had the edge. There was a period under Coach Campbell where Fort Scott particularly strong. Now he's back at the helm there trying to revive this Tiger program. But tonight, the Dragons up 14-0 here in the waning moments of the first half.
And you know, you kind of would hope for that pick six that they had earlier. But I think Coach Nick is happy with this because it took off more time for the Tigers to try and have to work under to score before half.
Kickoff return that time by Hunter Zubieta.
I'm not going to try. Don't look at me like that.
Give it a shot. Zubieta. I'm working with Zubieta.
Zubieta?
From now on, that's
Zubieta.
That's home base for me.
All right.
31-yard line, first down and 10 for Fort Scott. They got 34 seconds, no timeouts. And they haven't looked very good throwing the ball tonight, as that interception kind of indicated earlier. Twins to the near side, high formation in the backfield. They'll just hand it off. Michaud right up the middle. Has a decent run there, about 7 yards, but tick-tock.
Number 15.
And the game clock is underneath, the regular time for the quarter is underneath the game clock. They haven't even started the game clock yet. Now they have there's 15 seconds left.
That's Michaud's 13th carry of the ball game. So he's putting in his work.
New definition to the term workhorse.
Yeah. And that'll be the final play of the first half. At the break, Dragons lead at 14-0. We'll step away for 2 minutes, and we'll be back. You're listening to Pittsburgh High School Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com. Purple High School, what?
Once again, we need all qualifiers for the football talk in zone area. And now, put your hands together for the 2018-2019 Pittsburgh High School Prince team. This team is going to be a team of Megan Red and the Taylor Favor. Tonight's GPU is choreographed by Kansas City choreographer Leslie Harvey. First coming, the team defeated the two teams and won first overall out of 10 other teams attending camp. This year's biggest recruits freshman Haley Lisa, Andy Baca, and Kylie Musa. Sophomores, Emily Brooks, Elle Burgess, Melissa Thomas. Juniors, Michaela Shaw and Michaela Gibson. And seniors, Leah Brazel and Vicky Perry.
Welcome back to Hutchinson Field. Pittsburgh, Kansas. We're at halftime of tonight's Kansas Class 4A high school football matchup between the Pittsburgh Purple Dragons and the Fort Scott Tigers. Dragons leading at 14-0. You see the purple and white dancers out there on the field entertaining the crowd right now. Shelby, we said it going to break. Oof, that was kind of an ugly first half.
I mean,
defensive struggle, and offense kind of woke up there in the second quarter, but looked good in flashes, but not anything consistent, I would say.
no, not at all. I think the best analogy that you gave is they're both kind of, they're measuring themselves against each other. You think you can run the ball? Well, I'll show you what running the ball is. And for some cases, it's worked for both sides, and other times, boy, it has not resulted in anything positive, and it's just kind of turned the game into a bit of a slog. It doesn't help that both teams occasionally will get some momentum and then commit a stupid penalty. I mean, you saw the Dragons there on that last offensive drive that they had. They committed 2 or 3 false start penalties, and there have been holding calls on both sides, some unsportsmanlikes called on Fort Scott. Both teams just seem to not be able to get any momentum going for themselves and then keep it.
Yeah, it's been, you can credit the defenses, though. They've had, I mean, it's not that the offenses aren't executing, it's the defense is pretty stifling on both sides of the ball. Fort Scott, surprised to see how much pressure they've been able to get through that Dragon offensive line.
You know, that is a good thing that I think Coach Nick is glad to see, because it gives him something to work on. He doesn't, as a coach, you really don't want things to be perfect for your squad. You want things to go well, but you want them to have some weaknesses to focus on and prep for in order to get better as a squad. And I think for the Tigers, what your job there is to try and keep doing just that basic 4, maybe 5 front defensive pressure to try and throw off the Dragon offense, because if you can do that, then they can drop 6, 7 into coverage and effectively make the Dragons into a one-dimensional offense to where all they can do is run the ball, which, to their credit, the Dragons can do very well, and they've proven it here tonight in flashes. But you really hope that they can try and even things out. And for Fort Scott, you look at their season totals, they're pretty even offensively between the run and the pass. They need to shore up their offensive line when it comes to the pass so that the Dragons don't just pin their ears back 24/7 to where they're hitting the running back in the backfield. They're hitting their quarterback Campbell as he's dropping back to pass. So both sides have some positives, but also have some things that they need to work on to try and establish their offense.
We'll step away for 2 minutes. We'll come back, talk about some halftime stats from here at Hutchinson Field. We're at halftime. Pittsburg High School leading at 14-0 over the Fort Scott Tigers. You're listening to Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7, streaming live on ESPN1007.com.
Recall your favorite childhood movies as they perform the music of Disney, featuring the themes from Fantasia, The Jungle Book, The Lion King, and Moana. Please welcome to the field the Pittsburg High School Marching Dragons under the direction of drum majors Aiden Harris, Eddie Anderson, and Gerald Lundy.
Welcome back to Hutchinson Field, downtown Pittsburg, Kansas. Marching Dragons out on the field right now, entertaining the crowd. Let's take a look at Pittsburg High's first half stats. First off in the rushing category, not much to talk about. Being led in rushing by Brett Freeman, he has 3 carries for 18 yards. Brandis Evans, 4 carries for 3 yards. And Rourke with 2 carries for 3 yards. And Dylan White, 1 carry for 12 yards. So not a lot of rushing for the Purple Dragons. They have, however, gotten it done through the air tonight. Rourke is 7 of 10 passing for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception in the first half. His receiving targets mainly have been Joel Kafka, 3 catches, 71 yards, and Brett Wiemers, 3 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dylan White a catch for 12, and Freeman a catch for 5. So good night passing the ball. So far, you'd like to have that pick back, but I'm not sure how much of that was forced by the defensive lineman kind of messing with the delivery there. So Dragons have turned it over twice, a fumble and an interception. However, Fort Scott has matched that with a fumble and an interception in the first half. So the Dragons even there in the turnover category. But 50 yards and penalties in the first half, something, that Coach Nicholson would like to get cleaned up, Shelby.
Absolutely. I mean, 50 yards and penalties, that's a lot of momentum lost, because you think for every yard that you've given up in a penalty, you've had to gain twice that to make up for it, because you probably gained it the first time when the penalty was committed, so then you have to regain it to come back and even get to where you might have started the play at the original line of scrimmage. Makes it very difficult to have a lot of momentum, and I think that's why the running attack we've seen so far is kind of stymied for the Dragons thus far.
So a defensive battle that kind of loosened up a little bit in the second quarter. At the half, the Pittsburgh Purple Dragons lead it 14-0. We'll step away for 3 minutes, and we'll be back. You're listening to Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh High School marching dragons.
Coalition reminds us every life is important and invites you to join the Drive to Zero
Welcome back to halftime. Hutchison Field. Ooh, doing the football toss. Man, there's some close ones last week. That one, not as close.
That one died right as
Yeah,
it was getting.
I think the wind caught it. You know, it's a windy night. That's what I'd say. The sun got in their eyes.
And I'll be honest, you mentioned the wind. I think that's something that both squads have to look into for the second half because the wind has a chance to really wreak havoc. We saw it on the one punt from Fort Scott where Joe Dapko signaled the fair catch and ended up being caught by Dylan White, and the official blew it dead.
We're still about 5.5 minutes from kickoff of the third quarter. Actually, the teams aren't even back out on the field, so we're more like 7 minutes away from kickoff of the third quarter. It's just chaos down there in that far end zone with that football toss. It's just like they're barely keeping that thing under control down there. It's all a full-blown riot.
They're getting dangerously close to
An
the
elementary
target
riot.
itself.
My granddaughter's down there somewhere freaking out, I'm sure. Crazy. 5 minutes left here in the this portion of halftime, so we'll go ahead and step away for 3 minutes, and we'll be back at the break. Dragons lead at 14-0. You're listening to Pittsburg High School football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com.
You know you're still trying to graduate.
What's the buzz around Community National Bank and Trust? They're talking mobile banking, instant issue debit cards, rewards checking and credit cards, and let's not forget e-power checking, paying better than CD-like rates on a checking account, plus nationwide ATM fee refunds. Get in on the buzz. Community National Bank and Trust, member FDIC. Now back to Dragon football.
Welcome back to a raucous Hutch Field. Both teams back out on the field, starting to warm up after the halftime festivities here. Managed to clear that east end zone down there. Those rough-looking characters were down there for the football tops. Let's take a look at Fort Scott's stats for the first half. Not much to talk about offensively. The main story, Alec Michaud, 13 carries, 57 yards. So decent night carrying the ball for him, but that's about it. Trayton Wilson, 3 carries, 16 yards. Matt Campbell, 1 carry, 2 yards. Cooper Bradbury, 1 carry, 6 yards. And then passing, Campbell, 1 of 5 for 15 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. So good effort defensively against the passing game of the Fort Scott Tigers. The lone completion coming to Tyler Gordon for 15 yards. Tigers have given it up with the fumble and once with the interception in the first half. Same with the Dragons. They've thrown a pick and given up a fumble. Fort Scott just with 15 penalty yards.
I think you missed a few.
I think I missed a couple.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, because
certainly possible.
There have been at least 2, I know, 15-yard penalties on them. And
we'll call it 30, and it's all unofficial anyway. So don't go to Vegas with those numbers. It's all unofficial. So just score this one, just for fun.
So you're saying you shouldn't use these numbers as your Powerball selection?
Right. These are just totally made up numbers. It's like my creative writing assignment for the night. 2:18 left here until we start the second half of action. Both teams struggle to move the ball, turning it over immediately on their first possession. Fort Scott on their third play of their drive. Pittsburg High first play of their first drive. Both offenses struggled. A couple punts. Nothing really to talk about offensively. First quarter. Second quarter, Dragons started getting it going. Started with a 25-yard touchdown pass from Rourke to Brett Weimers, and then later, towards the end of the second quarter, a 43-yard connection between Rourke and Weimers once again, and that's the scoring so far in this one. Dragons leading it 14-0 at the break. So heading into the locker room, Shelby, both of these coaches talking about concentrating and executing on the offensive side of the ball, and then defense, just keep doing what you're doing.
I think the offensive side of the trench for both teams is going to dictate how this game ends up, because both defensive fronts have seemed to do an excellent job of getting pressure on the quarterback as well as getting into the backfield very quickly to at least somewhat slow down the running back, if not bring him down completely. So whichever offensive line can patch themselves up the most coming in to start this third quarter, I think is going to give their team the best chance of success and winning this game.
Now that Dragon offense is going to get the first crack at it here in the third quarter. They'll receive the kick to start the second half. Leading at 14-0. If they can cash in on this first drive, you really put the Tigers at a disadvantage, because they have not shown an ability to pass the ball effectively tonight. And you take away the running game and allow those pass rushers for the Purple Dragons to pin their ears back and get after Campbell, it's going to be a real rough night for Fort Scott. And you got to think, man, even if this starts to get away from them, they've got to stay with that run just to protect themselves for the rest of this season.
Absolutely. I mean, if nothing else, it'll kind of slow down the defense just enough to try and get Campbell a little bit of space to where if there's nothing open, he can at least throw it away and try and protect himself that way.
So the Tigers set to kick this one away. Dalton Colvin, senior running back, defensive back, will kick it away for the Tigers. They trail at 14-0. You get the feeling that they got to get a stop here. They can't afford to give up any more points to these Dragons.
Be careful. You might see some trickeration here.
We already saw a fake punt. 12-yard carry by Dylan White to keep a drive alive. Now this kick goes to Freeman. He'll bring it to the middle of the field. Across the 20, pushed down from behind at like the 18-yard line. Good play that time to knock him down from behind. That was
Now a flag came.
Devin Royal Bay.
A flag coming from the back official from about midfield, ending up where the play ended. And
Against Pittsburg High. I didn't see the...
I think the signal was blocking the back.
That'll be a 10-yarder. Yep, blocking the back against the Dragons. When your returner starts going laterally, there's a lot more opportunity for the block in the back as your blockers try to adjust to where he's going to carry the ball. Now the Dragons at their own 10-yard line. High formation. Here's the toss to Freeman. Cuts upfield, makes a man miss. Out across 15, across the 20, and down to the 22-yard line. So that'll bring it up for a first down on the 12-yard carry by Brett Freeman to start things off here in the second half.
Good start for the Dragon offense there. Taking a toss, which starts laterally, but is able to cut it upfield and find a lot of space.
Yeah, you just kind of, when you get that toss out there, you just start looking for that seam. It could be back to the inside. It could be around the quarter. Freeman picks right that time. High formation behind Rourke. He'll give to Brandis Evans. No, keeps it himself. And he takes a pretty good shot that time. Brought down at about the 29-yard line.
On the tackle, number 6, Hunter Zubieta.
And Zubieta, there's the name for you.
Zubieta
comes up with the tackle. Second down and 8 now for the Dragons.
Wind is shifted now as opposed to coming out of the north like it was throughout most of the game. Now it appears to be coming out of the east, so the Dragons are going directly into it.
It's a handoff to Evans across the 25 to about the 28-yard line before he's ridden down by about 4 Tigers.
Number 2, Brandis Evans on the carry.
It'll be a gain of about 5 for Evans.
Wide open here, they put down 3.
Brings up 3rd and 3 for the Dragons. Big third down here at their own 29-yard line, trying to add to this lead. Trips to the far side. Rourke in the shotgun. Dylan White, lone wide receiver to the near side. Evans in the backfield with Rourke. Tigers showing pressure. And the handoff goes to Evans, and he's brought down immediately in the backfield. Nothing going there, as whoever kept the ball that time for the Dragons on that read option was going to get hit. And it'll be a punting situation for Pittsburg High.
That would have been a situation where you'd like to have seen Rourke maybe audible into a quick pass or something, because it was blatantly obvious
they were bringing the heat right up the gut,
right in front of where you were going.
Yep. Good guess that time on the blitz, and there's a flag. It's going to be against Pittsburg High. 12 men on the field. And an illegal substitution. That'll be the call. Back them up 5 yards.
And that's rough, because as it is, you're already kind of punting into the wind, as I mentioned, but now you're even further back.
Dylan White to punt this one away. He usually does a rugby-style kick. Faked it with a 12-yard run before, not this time. He'll get it away. High hanger. Takes a Pittsburg High bounce at the 45-yard line. And it's going to keep rolling down to about the 30. So a nice punt that time by Dylan White. A net of, man, I suck at math, about 50 yards.
Well, if it's at the 30, there's 20 between the 30 and the 50. So where did we start the line of scrimmage?
At the 23, I think.
So the 23 to 50 is 27. So 27 and 20 is 47.
So close to 50, yeah.
You were pretty close.
See, I just work in broad strokes, just somewhere near 50. That's where it is. 9:26 to play, third quarter. Fort Scott's offense out on the field for the first time here in the second half as Campbell leads them up to the line. High formation. Dragons doing a good job defensively so far. Here's the handoff to Michaud. Picks his way forward for a couple yards and then driven backwards by a host of Dragons. A gain of about 2 on the play for Michaud.
And there's that.
They're going to call it, it looks more like 3.
And there's that whistle where momentum was stopped. Something that I think the officials have gotten a little better at, considering the near.
Didn't stop 5 guys from landing on him.
No,
sometimes nothing's going to prevent that.
No. But at least it saved him from having the same fate that
At least they were blowing the whistle. High formation again in the backfield. Campbell looking to throw. Quick hitter to the outside. Caught. That's a nice catch out there by C.J. Horton, the wide receiver. And it'll be close to first down yardage, about a yard shy. So we'll call it a gain of 6.
Good ball there by Campbell. Threw it in about the only place that Horton could get there, and he got it out there in a hurry.
Got out of his hand quick. Third down and short now for the Tigers. They stay with that I formation. 2 wide receivers to the near side. Campbell has the snap. Here's the handoff to Michaud. He's got a hole. Has the first down out to about the 45-yard line. And that's where the Tigers will have it. First down and 10. We'll call it a gain of 5 on the play. So Michaud, good looking back. And he's getting some help from his offensive line up front. Fort Scott has demonstrated the ability to run the ball. They just stalled out on the goal line against the Dragons late in the second quarter and had a pass broken up in the end zone. 7:46 and counting. Dragons on top, 14-0 here in the third quarter. From Hutch Field, Fort Scott staying with the I formation. And here's the handoff to Michaud. Austin has him by the jersey, and now they clean it up. Woods in there along with Brett Wiemers from the corner spot.
Man, what a great job by Trent Austin there. He had Tyson Bolden all over him, but he was still able to get a handout to slow down Michaud there and let his team clean up.
Seven minutes now in the third quarter. Second down and 10 for the Tigers. I formation, staying with this formation. They'll take the handoff, play action, hit from behind as Campbell balls out. And it's a scramble for it, and looks like the Tigers are going to be on top of it as Campbell took a big shot from behind that time. Coughed it up, but the Tigers fortunate to get on top of it as Mankin had a shot at it, tried to pick it up on the hop, and couldn't quite haul it in. So the Tigers dodge a bullet there, but now they're looking at 3rd and a country mile to pick up the first down. The line of gain is the Fort Scott 45. The ball rests at the 32-yard line, so 3rd and 13. No, 3rd and 23 for Fort Scott here. The line of gain is the Pittsburg 45-yard line. The original line of scrimmage, the Fort Scott 45-yard line.
You know, we talk about receivers looking upfield before they get the ball. I think Mankin was doing that because it's not often a defensive lineman gets a chance to mosey on into the end zone, and that's what Mankin would have done had he held on to
backs, handoff to Michaud, being pursued by Dylan Jordan, not going to get away, thrown down after a gain of about 2 yards. And that'll bring up 4th down, a punting situation for Fort Scott. I don't see anybody coming out on the field, though. Looks like they may go for it here, man. This is some riverboat gambler stuff if they don't, and they will punt it away. That's the smart play.
It really is at this point. You're still within striking distance. There's still a good amount of game left. Don't get too crazy just yet. Now, if it was closer to the end of the third quarter, you might entertain the idea of going for it.
Punt is away. Fair catch called for by Kafka. Hits a Fort Scott player, and it's blown dead at the Pittsburg High 34-yard line. Dragons to take over there as White called for the fair catch. The defender had his eyes on White the whole time and got hit in the back with the ball. So Dragons will take over their own 34-yard line. Pretty good field position to start this drive. Last one, due to a penalty, started at the Dragon 10-yard line. High formation behind Rourke, who's under center. 2 wide receivers to the near side. Quick toss to Freeman. Looks to cut it now. Heads outside across the 35 to 40. And ridden out of bounds by a Tiger defender. And no flag. Nick Lawrence took Freeman down out of bounds, but just a football play there. Nothing dirty. Bring up a 2nd down and 1 after the 9-yard carry by Freeman.
Good job by Brandon Evis Evans, excuse me, as he was the lead back there. Never really gave up. He found one Tiger, pushed him out of the way, and then found another one and moved him out. That allowed the big gain.
High formation now. Handoff goes to Freeman again. He cuts it outside, now dodges back inside across the 45 to about the 46. Gain of 3, and that'll pick up a first down.
On the tackle, number 13.
Nothing really fancy here that the Dragons are doing. It's just 3 yards and a cloud of dust.
Yeah, you got to impose your will sometimes with that running game, and they've tried to do that here on this drive as Freeman will head to the sideline. Brett Weimer's into the game as the extra wide receiver now. Brandis Evans will be the lone back in the gun with Freeman. Trips to the far side. He'll roll out. Now throwing downfield, has a man. It's Dylan White. Makes a man miss, and the defender hangs on, but completion good down to the 32-yard line.
You know, that's at least the second time by my count that the Dragons have run that exactly to that same result, having Rourke roll out to his left and then eventually find Dylan White kind of in that middle zone in between where the corner would be around the line of scrimmage and in front of the safety, kind of find that little gap in what would be a cover 2 zone, but the Tigers aren't really running a cover 2.
High formation now after the 23-yard pass play. Handoff to Brett Freeman right up between the tackles, and his teammate's going to push him forward. Move the scrum forward there for a gain of about 4 yards.
On tackle, number 88.
Call it 3 yards.
All you're doing right now is just keeping the ball as much as you can, and that puts even more pressure not only on this Tiger defense, but the Tiger offense as well, giving them less time to try and make a comeback.
High formation again behind Rourke. Handoff to the first man through is Brandis Evans. Ankle tackle brings him down. Gain of about 2 on the play. Call it 3 for Evans.
On tackle, number 83, Jacob Zubietta.
PA guy having some problems with Zubietta too. That makes me feel better.
I mean,
Pro.
So you would think that he's probably gotten the pronunciations from the team.
Zubietta. It's hard. It just doesn't roll off the tongue.
It really doesn't. There's not a whole lot of.
There's a lot of hairpin turns and not pronunciation. High formation again, 2 wide receivers to the near side. Quick toss goes to Brett Freeman. Gets around the corner, doing some work, tries to cut back to the inside and brought down at about the Fort Scott 25-yard line. It'll be a gain of about 3 yards on the play. Zubietta again on the tackle.
It'll be close.
We'll see where it's going to bring up 4th down for the Dragons, 4th and about 4. And now they're going to go for it here on 4th down. 2 minutes left to play. 3rd quarter, Dragons leading at 14-0.
And I think that's the right call. You're in that weird in-between zone where you can't kick a field goal, but your punt is probably going to be a touchback.
With the wind like it is, your kicking game's going to suffer. And Coach Nick's going to call a timeout, wants to talk things over with his squad. Not very happy. He heads out to that offensive huddle. He's giving Dylan White an earful right now. Dragons burn their first time out of the second half. Talking things over here on this big 4th down and 4 play. Inside Tiger territory, knocking on the door. They're trying to get into the red zone. Have it 4th down and 4 at the Fort Scott 25.
And you got to think that if the Dragons can score here, that would almost be a death knell for the Tigers.
Well, they haven't looked real good passing the ball, which means they're not in a position to catch up real quick to anybody. The way the Pittsburg High defense has looked tonight, 14 points probably is enough.
I mean, really, the best offensive drive the Tigers had started with that one sort of short kickoff at the very beginning of the game where they started at about the 35.
Oh, they stalled out down here on the goal line in the second quarter, but since then, the Dragon defense has stifled the run, and they've just been tough against the pass all night. Put a real mean hit on Matt Campbell last time he dropped back to pass. Shotgun down for Rourke. Now there's a timeout again. Fort Scott wants to talk things over, so this is your unofficial second halftime.
That's definitely not something you see very often.
Well, like you said, they're trying to outdo each other. You can call a timeout? Well, yeah, I'm going to call a timeout.
No, that's fine. Of course, at this point, I don't know what you would think of calling back-to-back timeouts like that.
Well,
I mean,
certainly gives us time to
pontificate.
Yeah, sit around here and talk about things like we know what we're talking about.
I mean, the only logical explanation is you wait to see how the Dragons come out, and then you try and match up with that with your own timeout. But you should know that by calling your own timeout, the Dragons are going to swap out and do something different.
Well, when they come out of that shotgun with the trips out, you know that that's probably the direction they're going to roll the pocket. And so maybe they're going to try and dial up a blitz from that strong side, try and shut down that bootleg action that Rourke, very effective at throwing the ball on the run. Dragons will stay with that formation, trips to the far side. Kafka, Weimer's out there, White to the near side. Brandis Evans in the backfield with Rourke. He gets the snap, rolls out, being pressured, still rolling, goes downfield, caught out of bounds. Incomplete. That'll turn it over on downs. Dragon offense doesn't convert the 4th and 4. Fort Scott takes over at their own 25-yard line.
And, you know, you called it right there. Dragons were set up to that far side with the trips. That's where they were rolling out. And the Tigers brought the heat from that side. And that kind of prevented Rourke from finding his footing to make a good, strong throw.
Well, it just messed up the timing, and so you saw when the pass finally made it out of there, the receiver out of bounds. So just made everything take a little too long, messed up the timing a little bit, and Pittsburgh unable to convert there on 4th down and 4. Now we'll see what Fort Scott's offense has as they getting shut out here so far. Pro formation behind Campbell, back to pass, quick throw, caught, and sliding catch made by Tyler Gorman. It'll be a gain, looks like about 6 yards on the play.
That was thrown just a little behind Gorman. If he could have thrown it a yard or two in front, that's probably a first down with the catch and run hitting him mid-stride.
Gorman's second catch of the game. Sets the Tigers up, 2nd down and about, call it 4, from their own 31-yard line.
Trent Austin.
High formation. And there's Michaud with it. Austin coming off, gimping a little bit.
I think he's cramping.
Yeah, it looks like a calf cramp to me, but I'm no doctor.
I just say.
And we'll see if they want to measure this. They're going to go ahead and move the chains. Trevor Stover into the game for the Dragons. 5'9" junior linebacker. And there's Austin getting stretched out. Yep, calf cramp. Oh. I'm pretty good at identifying cramps.
Is that because you had them all?
I don't know. That's not really a transferable skill. High formation now, double tight for the Tigers. Hard count by Campbell trying to keep that Dragon pass rush on their heels. Hand off to Michaud, runs through an arm tackle, into the backfield, still working, and finally brought down in the secondary. But not until he picks up 11 yards for the first down.
And there it is. I mean, he's been running short gains, maybe even a little bit of a loss all night, but he's finally finding the seams to make those runs just a little bit longer because the Dragon defense is getting just a little tired.
And that's going to be the final play of the third quarter. 1 left to play. Dragons lead at 14-0. We'll take a 1-minute break and we'll be back. You're listening to Pittsburgh Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7, streaming live on ESPN1007.com. 1 quarter left to play. Pittsburg High School Dragons leading at 14-0 over the Fort Scott Tigers. Dragons trying to improve to 4-0 on the season, coming off a big win last week over Blue Valley North. Fort Scott trying to bounce back after a loss to Parsons. They're 2-1. And trying to get something going here offensively. They have it first down and 10 at their own 47-yard line. They're trying to mount a drive here. High formation behind Matt Campbell under center. Another hard count. Can't draw him off. Quick toss out to Michaud. See if the Dragons can shut this one down. He gets around the corner. Has room to run and steps out of bounds at the Dragon 40 or 38-yard line. Michaud slipped on the track out there and went into that brick wall. And he's up, but man, that didn't look like that felt good at all.
I was worried that he may have hit his ankle into that wall and did some serious damage. The way he was kind of
apparently not. He's still moving. I wouldn't be. I'd be over there crying. 11:53 to play, fourth quarter. First down and 10 after the end around to Michaud for a gain of about 15 yards. Now we'll run it up the gut again. And that was Trayton Wilson on the carry that time. Pick up about 3 yards. Clock's running. Second down and 8 now for the Tigers. Fourth quarters, we were just talking about it during the break, Shelby. Fourth quarters this season, the Tigers have kind of struggled a little bit.
Yeah, they've been outscored 19-6 in the fourth quarters by their opposition. Tigers are a bit of a starter team. If they don't do well in the first quarter, it looks to go pretty south for them.
Dragon defense all over that one. They catch Michaud in the backfield, and they'll lose 1, maybe 2 on the play. It looks like a loss of 2. Good push up front that time by the Dragons. Enough of that running stuff. And it brings up a third down and long passing situation now for Campbell and the Tigers. And they, in obvious passing situations tonight, Shelby, they have not been able to get it done against this Dragon secondary.
No, they haven't. This Dragon secondary got a lot of length to it, a lot of speed. They're able to close down on those balls in the air and at least get a hand on it to knock it down.
Pass rush not bad as well. Campbell took a big shot last time. Empty backfield this time. And Fort Scott's going to burn timeout. Talk this one over. As they went with the empty backfield, 5 wide that time. But thought better of it. Called the timeout. 10.5 to play. Dragons on top, 14-0. And the defense in a good situation here to try and get this ball back.
You know, we were talking about how poor the fourth quarter seems to go for the Tigers, and I briefly mentioned how they're a starting team. In the first quarter, Fort Scott outscores their opponent 30-7, but then in the other quarters, they kind of lose the battle because it's a dead even 21-21 in the second and third, and as we mentioned, they're getting outscored in the fourth 19-6.
Yeah, so if they, not much of a come from behind team this year. Dragons have had to come back from behind a couple times last weekend, but they've been used to being in the lead most of this year. They're pitching a shutout so far here tonight against the Tigers, but the Fort Scott offense on the Pittsburg side of the field looking at a 3rd and 10 at the Dragon 38-yard line. When we resume play here, the clock will pick up. We'll be under 10.5 here in the ball game. 2 wide receivers in near side, shotgun. And Campbell will keep it himself and tries to push forward for the first down. He's going to be close. It looks like he might have it. Campbell's a big guy, so once he gets all that going. And it's going to be a first down for the Tigers, so they keep those chains moving, pick up that big 3rd down. Dragons that time, I don't think we're expecting the quarterback run. Campbell able to get it done.
Tigers ran that read option, and Campbell kept it himself and then just put his shoulder down when he got close to the first down marker, was able to push through.
Big, strong kid. First down and 10 at the Pittsburg High 27-yard line. A gain of about 10 on the carry by Campbell. There's another run right up the gut. This game's going to be over quick, Shelby.
Yes, it will be. I'll be thankful for that.
I got to do some more prep work for the PSU game tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
Family day.
Yeah, that's right. Big game tomorrow, Kearney Smith. Gorillas sitting at 3-0, getting ready to take on the 2-1 Nebraska Kearney Lopers. They are coming off a tough loss last week, but much improved squad and a tough running attack. The Gorillas haven't really seen a tough running attack like that, triple option that the Lopers are going to run, so it'll be a good game tomorrow at Kearney Smith. Here's the handoff. Up the middle that time, that was, I believe, Dalton Colvin, senior running back.
This is
carries there.
This is a crucial drive for the Tigers. They're taking so much time off the clock. They need to score here if they want this game to remain a contest.
And just as badly, that Pittsburgh High defense needs to get a stop here, because if they cut this to a 7-point game, offense hasn't done much here in the second half. Dragons don't want to put themselves in a real tight situation here against your rival, Fort Scott. Hand off to Colvin, cuts up inside, brought down on the play after a gain of about 2 or 3. Oh, they're going to give him 4, almost 5 on that carry.
We're looking at it here is just, we mentioned early on in this contest, since both teams like to run, eventually those short, no gains, 1-yard gains, they slowly add up. They take a toll on a defense, even a team like PHS who rotates in a lot of players.
High formation, Colvin's going to get it again, and he's getting into that secondary. Fort Scott's getting a push. I mean, that line is opening up holes for him, and he'll pick up another. Looks like 3 or 4 there.
Moving the chains, they're signaling.
Oh, okay, 5 then. And the Dragons will take a timeout, get that defense kind of get a chance to catch their breath, getting knocked off the ball a little bit here on this drive. Fort Scott's stopped the Dragons on a 4th down, and then they've done a pretty good job driving the ball here on this possession. Once again, knocking on the door. Last time the Purple Dragons able to stop that running attack at the goal line and come up with a pass breakup to turn it over on downs. Well, once again, the defense being called on to do the improbable.
You know, the defense really has been the heart and soul of the Dragons this year. I mean, you look at how many yards they've given up on the season. They've allowed the offense to succeed the way they have because they've been forcing 3-and-outs or turnovers of the opposition. So then by the time the Pitt High offense gets back out there, their opponent's defense is just gashed, so they can just keep running up the score.
Well, this defense is going to have to dig down deep here. First down and goal for the Tigers from the Pittsburgh High 6-yard line.
They need to be like a Confederate general.
Stonewall it. I thought you were going to say a Confederate jet.
No.
No such thing.
No. Confederate general, sir.
Yeah. That analogy was running far awry there.
It was close.
I formation behind Campbell. 2 tight end set for Fort Scott. Here's the handoff. And trying to get around the edge, and he does. And that's fresh legs, Dalton Colvin. Able to run that one into the end zone for the touchdown. Fort Scott on the board for the first time tonight. 8:04 left to play in the ball game. They trail at 14-6 here, pending the extra point. And it looks like in this situation, they're going to go, nope, they're bringing out the kicking unit. So, oh no, are they going to go for 2? Some indecision here. The play clock's not running.
They're halfway between the swinging gate and the offense.
We'll see. And the offense is coming back out on the field. So they're going to go for 2 in this situation.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yep. Bob Campbell, Riverboat Gambler. High formation now behind Matt Campbell in the backfield. He's rolling out to pass, being pursued by Woods. The pass is in there and caught. That catch by Jarrett Shoemaker, the senior tight end. coming through with the catch, and Fort Scott trimmed the Pittsburg High lead to 6, 14-8, 8:04 left to play. We'll step away for 30 seconds. We'll be back. You're listening to Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com. You don't have to score. We got it's a ball game here, Hutch Field. Fort Scott Tigers score on a 5-yard touchdown scamper by Dalton Colvin to cut the Pittsburg High lead, and then convert the 2-point conversion on a pass from Campbell to Jarrett Shoemaker to cut the Pittsburg High lead to 14-8. 8:04 left to play. Dragon offense needs to come up with a drive here, Shelby, and this could be onside kick territory here for Fort Scott.
I was a little concerned that they may have come out to start the second half with the onside kick, but right now, if you're going to do it, I think now is the time.
There's a lot of little guys out there.
No hands team out there. Doesn't appear, at least.
And the kick is away. A little squib kick. It'll be fielded on the hop by Dylan Jordan. Tucked up ball. And there's a flag on the play as Jordan's brought down out across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. And it's going to be holding against the Dragons. They're going to whistle Miguel Zamorano, 6-foot junior, with the block in the back, or no, hold. And that'll back the Dragons up 10 to start this drive at their own 22-yard line. So they need to pick up some first downs here, get away from their own end zone.
As counterintuitive as that sounds, that's not a terrible holding call because it pushes your offense back, meaning they got to take up more time if they're going to score.
Yeah, only if they move the sticks. High formation in the backfield behind Rourke. Handoff goes to Freeman, cuts up inside, has a little hole, shuts down quickly. He's out to the 25.5-yard line. And I'll call it a gain of about 3 on the play. Dragons staying conservative with it, burning some clock, but a lot of time left.
One thing to note, however, though, is Fort Scott only has 1 timeout left. So for Coach Campbell, when do you use that resource? Granted, we still have 7 minutes left.
7.5 minutes, a lot of time left. Pittsburg High's offense got to do something here. Rourke being pressured, reverses his field. He's going to be sacked at the 7-yard line. Fort Scott dials up the pressure, and they've been getting it all night long. The Dragon offensive line is not winning the battle tonight against Fort Scott, and that'll set them up 3rd down and very long. 3rd down and about 20 for the Dragons. Kafka out, Austin in.
And the Dragons.
Hobbs out.
Dragons have even tried keeping him back in. Brandis Evans was back there at that point to try and help with the blocking, but
he would have had to block 4 people because it was a jailbreak that time for the Tigers. 6:30 to play. Rourke in the gun, 3 wide to the far side. He rolls out that direction, now winds up the throw over the middle, intended for Weimers, picked off. Just threw that one up for grabs into quadruple coverage, and Fort Scott comes away with the interception.
Nick Lawrence again.
And a big turnover that time, and a momentum swinger as the Dragons shoot themselves in the foot big time right there with the interception. And it was all set up by the big sack on the previous play, set them up 3rd down and long. And not a good decision that time by Rourke to throw into the middle of the field. Fort Scott's defensive backs, there was about 4 of them there that could have made a play on that ball.
Lawrence, he was actually set up on the near side, trying to do a bit of a double coverage on the near side receiver, but playing that center field rover position, just drifted over and settled under it.
Now the crowd trying to get into this. Fort Scott comes to the line. There's going to be a false start. So, hey, crowd got into it. Now back them up 5 yards. Bring up 1st and 15 at the Pittsburg High 31-yard line. Gives the defense just a little bit more breathing room, but they were getting gashed by the run last time. See if they found any answers for that in the brief time they were over on the sideline.
Interestingly, Colvin not in the backfield. He would have kept gashing.
Campbell back to pass. He's going to throw it up. And there's a touchdown catch. Perfect throw by Campbell over the top of Ben Brenniger on the coverage. He had pretty good coverage, just a perfect throw. A great throw, beating good coverage that time. And Fort Scott ties it at 14 with 6:09 to play. And they can take the lead here with the extra point.
You know, a little bit of a hitch and go route. Campbell made a little bit of a stutter step in the middle of the backfield. And that gave his receiver just enough room to slip behind his defender.
As good as that Dragon defense looked for 3 quarters of this game, and as rough as 4th quarters have been for Fort Scott, the Tigers have brought it here tonight with 14 unanswered points, trying to make it 15 here in the 4th quarter of this ball game. On to attempt the extra point is Jacob Zubieta. High snap. Campbell has it. He's rolling out, looking for help. He's going to be brought down, and we still have a tie ball game. Dylan White brings Campbell down from behind, and it's still 0-0. Here at Hutch Field, 6:09 to play in this ball game. We'll stay right here, and man, that's a critical play right there.
It really is, but
for the Tigers.
It really is, but you can't really fault the Dragon defense too much. They've been out there a lot this second half, and as much conditioning as you can do in practice, it doesn't really equate to game speed, and eventually game speed will catch up to you and drain your tank fast.
You know, if you're the Dragons, one thing you look back on in this game that did not work the way you wanted it to is certainly your offensive line. The Dragons have not won the battle in the trenches tonight. I don't know if last week was a real rough matchup against a real physical opponent in Blue Valley North, Class 6A school. Throw a lot of bodies at you. Dragons had to play that one down to the wire, and now tonight they're in a slugfest against Fort Scott.
But you know, credit Fort Scott. They have not given up at all, and their front 4 and sometimes front 7, depending on how many they brought, have done a phenomenal job of able to slip by that front line that the Dragons have thrown out on offense.
Colvin set to kick this one away. Jordan and Freeman back to receive for the Dragons. Low bouncing kick. Fielded. And there's the whistle out across the 35. That was scary. Brandon Petty came up with it. But, that was no time was that not scary for everybody wearing purple here. Dragons will take over 1st and 10 at their own 38-yard line. So a little bit better field position this time. No flag. That's good news for Pittsburg. High formation now in the backfield behind Rourke. Evans and Freeman back there. There's the snap. Here's the quick pitch out to Freeman. Gets around the corner, across the 40, 45, 50, 45, 40, and he forced out of bounds at the Fort Scott 40-yard line. A big run there by Brett Freeman.
Nick Lawrence.
About 22 yards.
Lawrence, the one who forced him out. Great angle taken by Lawrence there. He didn't cut himself too shallow, didn't cut himself too deep to give any sort of a cutback lane.
That's a big first down for Pittsburg High right there. Flips your field position. Gives the Dragons a 1st and 10 at, where are they marking him out? They marked him out at the 48.
Oh, if he was out at the 48, then there should have been some sort of late hit because he wasn't hit until about the 35.
1st down and 10 for the Dragons. Rourke in the shotgun. He'll put Dylan Jordan in motion. And the handoff goes to Brandis Evans across the 45, near the 40-yard line. That'll be a gain of about 8 on first down, and the best carry of the night for Brandis Evans. Although the fullback, often the featured back of this offense, kind of your body blow, so to speak, for this offense. And it just hasn't really been there tonight. Able to get it there with the focus kind of going on Jordan as he went into motion to the near side. And Pittsburg High is going to burn a timeout.
Their last one.
Evans was out on the field, and he should have been on the sideline. So Dragons with 2 timeouts left. Fort Scott with 1. Oh, I'm sorry. Dragons with no timeouts left. Fort Scott has 1.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because now you essentially got to play.
You got to score here, because if you give the ball back to Fort Scott, you may not get it back. You can't stop the clock. And they've been running it pretty well, so Dragons puts a little bit more pressure on the offense here. In a tie ball game. This is what a rivalry is.
Oh, yeah.
You throw the records out the window, throw all the previous stats out the window.
Just bring your gloves.
Line them up and hit each other in the mouth, and that's what these two teams have done here tonight. 5:26 to play in the ball game. We're tied at 14. Dragons with it. Second down and a long 3 at the Fort Scott 41-yard line. Play clock was running. Work leads him up to the line. He'll stay in the shotgun with Dylan Jordan. Trips to the near side. There's the snap. Quick pitch out to Jordan. Out to the 40, 35, 30. Pushed out of bounds from behind. And I was wondering when we were going to see Dylan Jordan carrying the ball for the Dragons. We saw it last week quite a bit against Blue Valley on the end arounds. He has the speed to get to the corner. That's why he's such a good linebacker in pursuit. And he picks up the first down that time for the Dragons. They have it 1st and 10 at the Fort Scott 30-yard line. And the clock will... No, it's not rolling because he went out of bounds. Play clock's running. High formation behind Rourke. Quick pitch out to Brett Freeman being pursued. Cuts it back up inside, makes one man miss. And he'll pick up a couple of yards before he's ridden down at the Fort Scott 28-yard line. We'll see where they spot it. I'm going to say it's the 28. It is. That'll bring us 2nd down and 8.
But there's a flag on the play.
And Dragons are backing up, so... And it is holding against the Dragons. And those penalties, man, they'll kill you. And they've certainly hurt Pittsburg tonight. Kafka will come off. Weimers checks into the game along with Dylan White for the Dragons. 1st down and 15 now. Oh, no. 1st down and 20 from the Fort Scott 38. So they're back to the 38-yard line now. 5:12 to play in the ball game. Clock winds. Work in the shotgun. 2 wide receivers on the near side. Sends Freeman in motion. Pass over the middle to Weimers is caught. He's brought down inside the 35 at about the 32-yard line. It'll set up a 2nd down and 12 for the gain of 8 on the pass to Brett Weimers.
Rourke put a lot on that throw. Yeah. He had to because there were about 3 Tigers.
Freeman was open, but he was behind the line of scrimmage, so had some work to do to pick up any yards on that one. So good decision to throw the ball forward. Quick pass on the outside to Dylan White. Has a man to make. He's going to be whistled down at the 23-yard line. The official says keep the clock rolling. We're down to 4:10 to play in this one. Pittsburg High looking at a 3rd down and 4. You know they're could be in 4-down territory here. The wind's died down quite a bit, I said, as the flags kicked up.
That was a great adjustment there because for the last 3 or 4 plays, the corner on that far side had been playing way back. So you just do a quick little, not even a bubble screen, just a little hit screen where your receiver takes 1 step.
Yep, and a little hitch. Yep. Now Rourke will roll near side, tucks it, has a man to beat across the 20 to the 19, has the first down for the Dragons. Picks it up on a 3rd down and 4. He picks up 5 with his feet, and Rourke moves the chains for the Dragons. Clock stops, 3:36 to play. It'll resume when they set the chains.
At your attention, please, we need medical personnel just down from the press box, please. Personnel, medical personnel to the press, down below the press box, please.
And there's a run by Freeman. It'll pick up about 5 yards, and there's need for some medical personnel. It seems that somebody suffered a sudden illness or something here in the stands, and a lot of concern going on here. Of course, a football game going on out there on the field right now. Shotgun formation, trips to the far side for Rourke. Here's the quick pitch to Brandis Evans, hit in the backfield by Lawrence, or by Shoemaker, and brought down. Garrett Shoemaker read that one pretty well, and it's going to be a loss of yards for the Dragons. They're looking at a 3rd down and 5 at the Fort Scott 15-yard line.
You know, part of that was disrupted by Trenton Wilson, as Trenton Wilson got right there in the face of Rourke and didn't let Rourke get much of anything on his pitch.
There's a lot going down here in front of us. Rourke lines him up in the shotgun, 3 wide receivers to the far side. Man on man against White. Quick pass out to Freeman. Makes a man miss at the 20, brought down at about the 17-yard line. At about the 12-yard line. And that'll bring up a 4th down for the Dragons in a kicking situation. As they bring in Caden Bressler to attempt the go-ahead field goal here with 1:37 left to play. Nope. Yep. Weimers to hold. There's the snap. The hold is down. The kick is up. And it's good. Caden Bressler hits the go-ahead field goal. A 30-yarder. And the Dragons take a 17-14 lead, 1:19 left to play. Fort Scott with 1 timeout. And kickoff pending. We'll step away for 30 seconds. We'll be back. You're listening to Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com. Welcome back to Hutchinson Field. 1:19 to play in the ball game. 1:19 left to play in the ball game. Pittsburgh Dragons on top, 17-14 after the 30-yard field goal attempt. Or after the field goal by Caden Bressler. Dragons with the narrow lead as Bressler kicks it away here. It's going to be fielded at the 12-yard line. And a big return, not what the Dragons needed. And Fort Scott in business inside Pittsburgh territory at the 47-yard line. So a lot of it picked up right there on that kick return, and the Dragons have struggled with kickoff and punt return coverage this season, and they get burned again right there. We saw it several times last week against Blue Valley North, and now Fort Scott able to come up with a clutch kick return, no flags. It'll set them up 1st and 10 at the Pittsburgh 46-yard line, 1:12 to play. Dragons clinging to a 3-point lead. They gave up a big pass play for the touchdown last time. We'll see if they can get a stop here this time against Fort Scott. A second week in a row, this Dragon defense is called upon late in a ball game to hold on to a win and get the save. Split backs behind Campbell. He's back to pass. Looking, throws high, incomplete. Pass is intended for Shoemaker, and he would have needed to be another 2 feet taller to come down with that one.
It was a high throw to get over one of the paws of a defensive lineman of the Dragons to try and get it out there. And so the angle just let it drift out of play.
Clock stops with 1:07 after the incompletion. 2nd down and 10 now for Fort Scott. Campbell leads them up the line, same formation, split backs. Back to pass, here's the handoff, going to Michaud, nothing there. Dragons stop it after a gain of about 2 or 3. And the clock will run. We're under a minute now, and Fort Scott will burn their final timeout.
You know,
Man,
Campbell took that snap and it kind of bobbled out of his hands, so he ended up handing it off. Thankfully, for them at least, they got something out of it.
not short on drama here tonight on homecoming night for the Dragons. A tough opponent to schedule for homecoming. Fort Scott Tigers came to play here tonight, not intimidated by the atmosphere, the festivities, or that Dragon 3-0 record they brought into tonight's ball game. In jeopardy here, 58 seconds to play. Fort Scott will have to spike it or throw it in completion. Stop the clock now, go out of bounds, no timeouts left.
And if you're the Dragons, you want to keep them, you want to let them catch the ball and keep them in bounds because they cannot spike it, as it'll be 4th down coming up next, an automatic turnover on downs.
Campbell, you've got to think that Fort Scott's going to try and pass it here, but last time on a 3rd down and long situation similar to this, they ran it with Campbell and were able to convert it. So the running attack of Fort Scott has really slowed the pass rush down for the Dragons tonight, as you've seen Campbell here in the second half actually have time to throw, and he's had some receivers, and he's been able to find them. Trips to the near side this time, 5 wide in this set, empty backfield for Campbell. He winds up and throws, it's caught, and out of bounds. It'll be enough for a 1st down. C.J. Horton, as he was pretty much alone out there on the sideline. The Dragons kind of let him go, and fortunately, he stepped out of bounds before he could do much more damage. Stops the clock, though, 54 seconds to play. Fort Scott with it, 1st down and 10. Now inside the 35 at the Pittsburg High 34-yard line.
Dragons brought the house on that to try and get to Campbell before he get the ball off, and in doing so, didn't have enough people out there to cover receivers.
And they didn't get home. They brought the house, didn't get home, and Campbell able to dissect it quickly enough, get the ball away. Low snap. Campbell has it, runs through an arm tackle. He's on the run and driven out of bounds. Man, at the 15-yard line of the Dragons. Campbell doing it that time with his feet. Almost sacked. Austin had a shot at him and could not bring him down.
I think
he's a big kid. You're not going to arm tackle that dude.
No, you got to
You got to put your shoulder in him.
And I think the calf strain or the calf cramp that Austin was dealing with earlier might have impacted him there to where he couldn't quite get around to get his body on Campbell.
Split backs now behind Campbell in the backfield. 1st down and 10. Being pursued by Austin. And he's going to get him. It's a sack. Huge sack. And that clock keeps running. No timeouts for Fort Scott. They're going to have to spike it here to stop the clock. 2nd down and long. It'll set up a 3rd down and long there at the 29-yard line. So a loss of 14 yards on the play as Campbell gets the play called. And he'll spike it to stop the clock. And that'll bring up a 3rd down and long.
They lost about 10 seconds setting up for that because they had Tyler Gorman all the way in the end zone, and instead of letting him come to the near side where they had him run to the far side to set up for that spike.
Dragon defense comes up with a big play that time. Austin with the pursuit from the backside, able to catch Campbell from behind, fought through a late block, able to make the play for the Dragons. Now a 3rd down and long for Fort Scott, but the down doesn't matter as much as the time on the clock and the distance to the goal. 24 seconds, they need 29 yards. Jordan coming for him, passes away, Bruniger, and it's out of bounds, not catchable. And 17 seconds left. Fort Scott down to their 4th down here. They can pick up a first down, but it's 4th and long. This could be the last gasp for Fort Scott. See if what they try to come up with here. They were able to get some running plays with Campbell before, but man, he'd have to pick up about 30 yards here, 25 yards to pick up the first down. Well, call it about 15 yards to pick up the first down.
Hook and ladder possibly.
Shotgun formation, 4 wide. Low snap. Campbell has it. Over the middle. Drop! And the Dragons are going to come away with the win.
No, there's no late.
No, they're going to call a late hit on a receiver. That is that's a tough call. That's a tough call. I don't know how they're going to call that.
We try to be professional and unbiased, but I think your initial reaction is the appropriate one. Because
how do you throw that flag on 4th down on a clearly incomplete pass that he dropped? And he was bobbling it the whole time. It's not like he dropped it and then took steps. That is not a good call.
That is one of the most...
talk about taking a game over.
They're calling a personal foul. But they're going to give the ball...
it's going to be Pittsburg High's ball. It was after the play, so the Dragons will be backed up 15 yards. But they will have the football, and they can just kneel down on it and come away with this win. And, man, talk about dodging a bullet with that one. And, once again, penalties. And many of them, personal fouls after the play. Dragons need to tidy that up. But
I agree, but I don't think
that was the call you make there.
No, if Coach Nicholson has them run for yards of penalties, that's 15 there that I don't think you make them run for, because the ball, as you said, was clearly...
He was bobbling it.
He was bobbling it, so you have to have, as a defender, you have to play through him to make sure he doesn't make the catch. And I think him was one of those things to where he fell down and kind of maybe got knocked over a little harder.
And that's it. Rourke will kneel down on it.
I haven't started
they
it
haven't
yet.
done it yet.
But
I looked away for a minute. Everybody was shaking hands. I thought it was all done.
Well, that just shows you the class that these players have and the respect they have for each other, because they played a hard 48 minutes on both sides.
Tough game tonight for both of these squads. Pittsburg High able to win an ugly one, 17-14 over the Fort Scott Tigers. So after a couple of blowout wins to start the season, the Dragons have ended the season with a couple of nail-biters preserved by the defense. And they'll move to 4-0 on the season. Fort Scott will drop to 2-2. They take on Labette County next week, and Pittsburg High makes a trip out to the Mountain Time Zone to play Ulysses. That'll be the farthest distance traveled by any high school team this year in Kansas to play a regular season ball game. So long road trip coming up. They'll play that one next Saturday out in the Chaco of western Kansas.
And, even though it was the final score that it was here, I think both teams can walk off the field for the most part with their heads held high, knowing they gave everything.
They gave each other a game tonight, that's for sure. These Fort Scott kids came to play, and the Dragons fortunate to get this win here on their home field. And, this is pretty much a Pittsburg High Fort Scott game. And that's how they go. They're tough, hard-fought affairs. Nothing's given up for granted. And I'll tell you what, this Fort Scott squad is going to give people trouble this year. Labette County better watch out next week. This defensive front will put the pressure on you.
And, we saw Labette County here to start the season. Now, granted, that is week 1, so there's a lot of things to be worked on. And Labette County obviously will have improved from then. But you compare both front lines of Fort Scott and Labette County, and I think Fort Scott...
Oh, they got the edge up front for sure. They got the Jimmies and Joes up on that line. I think it's going to be a very long night for Labette County trying to do anything offensively. So Fort Scott falls to 2-2. Pittsburg High improves to 4-0 on the season with the 17-14 win. It was not pretty, that's for sure. The Dragons get the field goal, the go-ahead field goal in the fourth quarter, and a big stand by the defense to finish this ball game. And whew, that was a near-run thing.
It really was. I mean, you looked at the majority of this game. Granted, it wasn't a pretty game, as you mentioned, but it looked like Pitt High was going to kind of cruise to a 14-0 shutout, and maybe they start thinking about that dance just a little too soon because they let this Fort Scott club come all the way back.
Dragons fan section let them hear about it, and they've had to take a fan out who appeared to have a sudden illness down here, and so all the fans having to stay while the EMTs take that gentleman out and take him off to the hospital. Certainly hope the best for him, and fans were able to diagnose it pretty quickly and get the EMTs over here, and so hopefully everything works out okay for him and his family. But the Dragons can celebrate a hard-fought win here tonight on homecoming, 17-14 over the Fort Scott Tigers. We'll step away for 2 minutes. We'll come back, talk this one over a little bit more. Coach Nick didn't make it up last week after the Blue Valley game due to some tension after the game. We'll see if he makes it up here tonight or not, but hard-fought win by the Pittsburg Purple Dragons, and they start preparing for that long road trip next week. We'll step away for 2 minutes, and we'll be back. Dragons win at 17-14 over the Fort Scott Tigers. You're listening to Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live on ESPN1007.com. Welcome back to Hutch Field, downtown Pittsburg, Kansas. It was a beautiful fall night. Is it fall yet?
Tonight, actually, is the autumnal equinox eve.
Oh, all right. Thanks.
What that means is tomorrow is the fall equinox.
You like my walking, talking farmer's almanac here. That's pretty good. So almost fall evening, fall eve.
So it's the fall
the eve of, anyway. It is a pretty night. Dragons win it 17-14 in an ugly slugfest with the Fort Scott Tigers. Tigers scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, come roaring back from what was a 14-0 halftime deficit, and tied the ball game. Missed a 2-point conversion, so the game was still tied. Dragons drive it down the field on their ensuing possession, able to come up with a field goal to take the lead, and the Tigers unable to answer back offensively as the game ends on an incomplete pass and a personal foul call after the fact, but none of that mattered as Dragons able to go into the victory formation, take a knee, go home with the victory here on homecoming night, so everybody can have a better time this evening now that the home team has won. You see the fans filing out here of Hutch Field. Well, I don't know, Shelby, if Coach Nick's going to make it up here or not. I don't know that we're going to hang out here too long for it. A quick game tonight. Both teams determined to run the football. And lots of turnovers and zany plays. Dragons able to come away with a hard-fought win, 17-14. They move to 4-0. Fort Scott falls to 2-2. Fort Scott has Labette County next week. And Pittsburg next weekend will be in Ulysses on Saturday. You got to play the game on a Saturday because technically it's Saturday out there, but it's still Friday here. But I don't know how that works. Actually, it could be the opposite. But yeah, out there in
time zone lines are fine.
Yeah, out there in our western tribal regions, and maybe they'll schedule something closer to home next time. If they know that Coffeyville has a team, Independence has a team, we'll play them then.
Yeah, but
anyway,
you know that Coach Nick always wants to find the best team possible for the week to play to prep his team.
And they'll get a lot of bonding time, a lot of team building out there, droning down the highway towards Ulysses. So Trent Kling will have the call next week instead of us because he now lives in Colorado Springs, and it's technically closer to Colorado Springs than it is to Pittsburg. So
that gives
Trent will pick that one up. That gives you an idea of where you're going. Most of the time that'll be a short domestic flight out there. But the Dragons will take the old buses. I think they'll have tour buses for that one, so it'll be a nicer trip for the boys. But, man,
still long.
Oh, there's no good way to cover that distance in anything other than a jet. But Dragons going to do it next week. And hopefully shake off the cobwebs, get out and come away with a win on the road next week and move to 5-0. But all that's for another day. Shelby, good game here tonight.
It was a good game.
Sloppy, but entertaining nonetheless. These Dragons, after 2 blowout wins, have a couple of cardiac wins in the last couple of weeks. Pull it out. Last play of the game by the defense.
And if nothing else, it shows Coach Nick that his defense is of championship caliber.
Yeah, your defense is the real deal, Coach. So Pittsburg High moves to 4-0. For Shelby White, I'm Josh Lendner saying thanks for joining us tonight. From here at Hutch Field, Dragons win it 17-14. You've been listening to Pittsburg High School Purple Dragon Football on ESPN 100.7 and streaming live around the world on ESPN1007.com.